Well, hi guys, hopefully it finds you very well. My name's Paul, this is Plan Zed, and welcome to this little session on the Tera Step Twin. Now, if you've been following my channel or followed me across from my old channel, sorry I can't access that account anymore. I can't respond to comments or anything really. Yeah, we're carrying on proceedings over here. Now, you might remember if you followed me across that I have two GT1000s, and I've got the first one back. We've got our knob fixed to sounds a little bit rude, from my man that can down in Denmark Street. It's taken a while for the parts to come through, but we've got it, so I can go straight into showing you what I was up to before this got taken away. Now, in preparation for the deep dive, I was setting up different templates that I'd not spoken to you about before. Now, this one I've kind of gave you an introduction on my other channel too, but we're going to go deeper in this session. Now, it's part of a bank of patches where I'm using twin amps as the core tone for all of the patches. And the new templates for the first 4 patches will have different gains. So I've got here a twin with 35 gain, another one with 50, 70, 100. But before we move on, we've got 3 gain stages here. So what I've got is, when these buttons are both blue, this is a low gain twin with the gain on 35. When I press this button, it engages the medium gain with a gain at 35. And then we have a high gain with the gain at 35. So that being the principle, we've got gain at 50, gain at 70, we're on the back pickup at the telly, gain at 100, and then we have my special effects patch. Now, I'm a live looper, and what I like to have while I'm working out what I want to use in my productions and how I'm going to use them as production tools is understand how the amp works in the first 4 patches, use different effects and fuzzes and things on them in those jams. But in this patch, I want to be able to get different things. So we're going to come into the patch. Oh, press the wrong button. But before we do, let's just hear. I've taken a loop using one of the sounds on here. Okay, so I'm just going to start with that sound. Now I'm using this sound. Sorry, I've got 2 of them playing there. Okay, this is just one of them on their own. What I've got is got 2 parts that will move. This one stays in E, and then I've got another one that crosses over. But we're going to stay here for a minute. I'm just going to bring the beat in so you can understand how this sound works. I'm going to bring in another bass line and a guitar. And then I'm going to bring in some more guitars. Let's take away those guitars again. Let's take away the ride beat. Let's take away the second beat. So it's a simple part that works off my main bass line and just is helping my mix feel a bit fuller, a bit more pushed, and a kind of slightly alien sound in there to all of the nice guitar tones that are going on. Now, I have another part of the jam where I'm using that to move through, but I've not taken those loops yet, and we'll have a little look at the sound first. But in the patch, I've taken one of the templates that I originally built, almost, and I've got 2 amps in a divide here, okay? But I've got another divide here, and I'm going to talk to you about that in just a little minute when we get the Octaver on. Now, in this channel, I've got a... I've got a low gain, twin, 50, 70, 55, a presence in the middle because we don't have a presence knob on a twin, and I've got no bright switch here. Gain at 35, level at 55, sag on full, resonance on 5. In here, I can turn up the gain of this low gain amp to 80. The level comes down to 35. nothing else changes, okay? In the B channel, I've got a medium gain twin, gain on 35, level on 37. I keep the resonance and the sag the same across all the amps, okay? Then here we've got the bass and the treble the same as in the other side, but here we've pulled, sorry, the bass and the mids, so 50, 70, but the treble is pulled back because we've got the bright switch on. So we've got the treble on 40. So there are our core tones, okay? When we come through here, we hit 2 notes cab am, they're our cabinet and microphone, okay? Now, I'm relying, if you want to look closer at the screen, that YouTube's new kind of, you can use your fingers to zoom in. If you want to zoom in, I'll try and keep my fingers out of the way. I've got it focused on the screen so you can do that. Now here we've got the first of our EQs where we've got the low cut, 125 low cut, and I'm taking out 250 hertz on a Q of 1, so that's a wide band Q, a minus 4 dB. Nothing else happens in this block. I gain stage, I'm using 3 EQ blocks for the first tone, and I deal with a high cut up here. I'm going up the frequencies, but I want my high cut after my verbs and effects. And I gain stage the 3 together using this block, not in the individual blocks, okay? So after the first EQ, we come into the second one where we're dealing with the low mids. This is quite important, these EQ bits, to the overall sound, okay? So we're taking out 400, Q2 minus 2, and 630, Q of 4 minus 6. Nothing else happens in this block. Then down here, we've got a divide with our verb. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And we've got the master, the last EQ before the output here, where I'm going out my sub outs, okay? Now, we've got +1 on the high and low shelf. So that's the frequencies on the lows and the highs coming up a little bit like that. And the overall level coming up by 6. Take out 3.15 on a Q of 2 minus 3, taking out some of that harshness there, and also at 4K. Oh, so I've recorded my sound without that cut there. That's interesting. Oh, so this is going to change how that sounded from there, so we might want to redo my loop. And we've got the high cut at 10K. So we're cutting 4K on a Q of 4 minus 6. Sorry, I can't remember if I said that. And we're doing the high cut at 10. Okay. They're my 3 gain stages. Now we do have here a reverb. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But before we do that, let's talk about drives. And the first one is in the back of this twin here where I've put a metal zone. So let's go into that amp. Let's turn on our metal zone. Oh, I need to get into manual mode. So this button here I've got assigned to manual mode. So let's go in and might give myself a touch more gain. Now I've got the gain really low on this. Quite like how that sounds. So I'm just keeping the level around 55 here. I've got the tone up by 10. I've got none of the dry mix coming through because I'm stacking the twin into this is like sitting in the power amp section before the cabinet, okay, is the way to think of this one. Now let's come across, turn this guy off, go back to our A channel, come down the gain stage here where we've got another noise suppression and this divide, which we're going to get to in just a moment. And here we've got a fuzz. So I've got this a bit thin, bit wiry, lots of tone. Now I'm not actually planning to use it on its own like this. go across to the other amp. Let's stack it into the metal zone. Okay, so that's that guy there. But what I'm just going to say to you is quickly, with this fuzz, I do like to have some of my direct mix coming through. I find it helps the fuzz along. Oh, just dropped my pick. Yeah, I find it helps the fuzz along. So just a little note there. Now, here I've got an Octaver where we're running in mono. We can run in poly, but at the moment we're running in mono, 100% on the first octave, and none of the dry mix coming through. Okay, now when I bring this on, let's turn it on. I'm splitting the signal. So here we have a high pass filter, so that's all the frequencies over 315. So we select our frequency in this side, and 315 is a good place to make a cut on this. It's a nasty frequency for a bass. Let's get it out of there, get it out of the way of our mix, and I'll show you how I deal with that in just a little moment. So I'm doing the slice here where I separate the signal. So the B channel is dealing with a low pass filter at the same point, so it's taking all the frequencies below 315 and giving us those to work with. Okay, so now when we come into the channel, before we get there, I want to remind you, this is where my low cut is. Do you remember the first EQ? Well, this channel is dealing with the low end now, and it's doing pretty much the same thing. So I've got the cut on a Q, the same Q1 minus 4 here at 250, but I'm taking a little slice out at 315 on a Q of 8. Now I'm not doing this in any of the other patches, but I'm doing it here because there's a lot of bass frequencies I'm going to be playing with. So I'm just taking out, yeah, I went 6 dB there, and then I've got my low cut here to 125 because I don't want it fighting with the bass, but I want to make the most of those bass frequencies. So let's dry signal with the Octaver and that channel. Without that, and you can kind of hear our bass is a bit lumpy in there, and it's kind of not as impactful. And that's because, let's just go, Paul, what did you just press then? Yeah. And that's because of the limiter that I've got in here. Now I'm using a bass limiter, so the bass compressor, I've got the threshold on 0, the attack on 100, the level at 50, the tone up at 10, but we're at infinite, which is a limiting compressor, and none of the dry mix coming through, okay, because I don't want any lumpiness to escape this area. This is like a catching the bass, focusing the bass, so I get that kind of synth type quality. Okay, now when I add my fuzz to that, okay, let's see what that sounds like through the metal zone side. Let's turn that on and get across there. Oh, it gives it a different quality. Nice. Dirty. Dance. Nice. So I like having a couple of different options there for this kind of patch for my twin, giving me different colours. Now I've got in here to spice this up even further. Let's get across to this one. Let's put on the gain stage. Put on our fuzz. Now here, when I press this button, a few things will happen. We've got 3 blocks come on. Now obviously we can't hear what's going on in this channel, but I get the 2 blocks on so I can switch between the 2 if I want to, okay? In this one, I've put a phaser for the moment. Prime, 8 stage, using the tempo, but 60 on the depth, pulling the resonance back, pulling the manual up, we're in tri. Got the step rate on, we're in biphase, and the separation is on. I want to draw your attention to those settings in particular on this one, okay? Because we're working stereo after the amp into the cabinets. Now, really, 2Notes doesn't like us doing that, but I want this to make my sound like it's glitching. So I don't care. I'm going to put it where it's going to make the nastiest sound. So that's what I've done. But I still want to manage those highs and lows. So I'm keeping my low and high damp where they are, but I'm taking a low cut to 630 and a high cut to 4K, okay? We've got them coming through even on the dry mix, wet mix. On this side, we're using it before the amp. So let's go that. Now I've not turned on the metal zone yet. It's giving me another tone altogether, and what I'm doing here is using this in more of a mono way before the amp. So I'm using only a 4-stage. We've got the resonance in the middle, the manual all the way up. We're in tri. We've got the biphase on, but none of the separation. It's going in mono, but I've got a bit more of the lows, so the low cut's to 100, the high cut is at 4K still, okay, and I've left the damps alone. But I've pulled back the effect level to 40, leaving the direct mix at 50. That is filth. Now, let's see what happens when we go through the metal zone, turn the fuzz off. Like that, there's some feedbacking type quality happening somewhere in that chain of things that's going on. That was lovely in the room. Hopefully that came across. So now we've got quite a nice passive sound. That's quite nice. Now you should know that where we're getting our kind of stereo feel is this chorus down here that's been on the whole time since these 3 blocks came on. Now here I'm just using kind of a soft kind of chorusing where we've got only the level up at 50, I think. Low cut 630, high cut 4K again, direct mix through at full, we're in tri, and it's just giving us some soft chorusing, okay? Now, let's talk about this Tera Echo. Down here we've got a divider where I'm running a wet dry. That means I have none of my dry signal coming through into this effect. The only time the dry signal comes through is when I turn on an effect before it. Let's pull back that reverb a little bit. Actually, no, let's leave it where it is. So, okay, the dry signal is passing in the A, wet signal in here. But that changes when I put on a delay that's in front of it. Now, this delay has none of the dry signal coming through, so it's only going to be receiving the delay. Okay, so I get a repeat to the right because I'm using the stereo 1. It's just giving me like a 1-stop delay at 500. I've got a high cut in there. Let's have that there so it has a bit more impact. Nice. Got the level up at 90. Do I want to review that? Let's put that up on 100, but pull this back. Feel that that is a better place for it to sit in a mix, okay? So that will happen anywhere. On the expression pedal over here, I've got control in the reverb here of our spread time and our level. So if I extend it, spread time's gone up. Pull that back, the level comes down a bit. Nice. So I like how that's working. I'm preferring this already to what I recorded in the loops earlier. So let's just turn that off for a moment. And I want to show you one other sound that I want to be able to get out of this. So what I might do is actually, let me just put in, I'm just going to delete that loop. Lovely. So I've deleted that loop now, so I might give that another go in a little moment. But we'll see how long this video is. I want to try and keep it under 25 minutes. So, yeah. So this reverb here, I want to be able to solo it. So what I'm going to do is going to bring in a bass and a beat. And I'm going to turn off all these effects, go to the B of the A, okay? Let's turn off that. Now let's solo the wet channel and just use it as an atmosphere. I'm going to try taking a loop. So now I've got a nice bit of atmosphere just to complement my mix there, and I could have played with that sound a little bit more by using my expression. I forgot, there's a little thing I wanted to do there at the end and I forgot to do it, but let's not worry so much about that. Let's now get these effects on, try and retake that loop and see what happens when we go to the other groove. So what I'm going to do, this reverb in a nice place. Okay, I'll give it a go. Nice, so that's working quite well for me there. Just going to get rid of those guitars. Okay, let's put on this other loop. Giving myself a really nice electronic breakdown there where nothing sounds like a guitar really. Crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna like exploring this patch deeper and further. I'll catch you a bit later. Hopefully you enjoyed that session. Let's just end those loops. Before we go, let me just have a quick look at this metal zone. Yeah, lovely, I like that. I'll catch you later. Bye.